Hello, welcome to CarCast. I'm Matt, the moderator. Deandra here with Bill Goldberg. How are you?
Doing good. I'm in my garage. I'm busier than hell, and usually I have a wrench in my hand, but I'm so busy that I have a spoon in my hand because I'm having to actively eat during everything. But I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
That's good. You're feeling good. I want to get into that. We've got a lot to talk about today. Before we get started, a word from our friends at Bet Online. They are the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL and UFC, Bet Online continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer hat to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. So I,
So
I
I'm
want
so
to,
before you
yeah,
jump in, let's talk about sports for 2 seconds since you just talked about Bet Online.
yeah,
How cool is freaking hockey, right? Did you
yeah.
see the USA Canada game the other day?
I, I,
In the first 9 seconds, there were three fights.
it's amazing that that's the sport that's so brutal, or
It's
can
freaking
be.
awesome. I just want to throw that in there. I know this isn't a sports podcast, but that's just
Yeah,
reinforces the fact that hockey is the coolest sport in the world.
I've been to a couple. I've been to a couple games.
You've been to a couple fights and hockey game broke out.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been to a couple. Um, all right. So before you left, we were getting into the Cobra project and Cerakote, and we were asking questions about what to Cerakote, what not to Cerakote, how does it work on high heat applications, engine blocks? Because you had mentioned Nelson Racing engines, Tom Nelson, they did an engine Cerakoted, and
Mm-hmm.
which I think was new to them because when I spoke to them, he explained the process of painting that he did. Uh, so you got a chance to meet with them. Did you go to them? They came to you? What
Well,
exactly?
actually, both. And hopefully, one of these days, once I get my shit together and get my life together, and I can get my YouTube channel with with new content, I've got a plethora of stuff that shows him coming. First of all, a guy named Clint Boyd, and
Okay.
he owns a company called CGC, and it's pretty badass. The acronym it's Cars, Guns, and Coffee, right? So, um, he's obviously a car guy. He's a gun guy, and he likes to drink coffee. So, um, he came out here. We did a little filming. He kind of introduced me to the process, and then I went up the road and went to his shop, and he actively put me kind of on the assembly line. Um, I didn't get to shoot anything color wise because we didn't have the color yet that we were going to apply to the stuff. Well, we're actually doing two different things. We're doing flat black for the Cobra project, and we're doing the one of one green machine that I've got my Demon 170 for a Purple Heart project. We had two things going simultaneously, but to see the process, it was pretty damn cool. And there you go. That's them. That's them applying the decals to, I think it's Sons of Liberty is the name of the entity or the company that they supply this Cerakote to. It's a gun company. Um, so yeah, that's exactly what I saw when I went. And first class operation. Um, Logically, you have to prep the surface. And so it was cool because I got the bead blast again, right? So
Okay.
I got some of the trim rings um, for the gauges, that Dakota Digital supplied for the project.
Yeah.
And all I did was just, rough them up via the bead blaster. And then I think the biggest thing is like any type of paint or coating is the prep, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's getting your fingerprints off of it, it's getting any chemicals. Um, so that's probably the most arduous task of all of it. But the bead blasting was fun, man. I wanted to bead blast everything, right? Um, so it seems to be a very simple process. I'd be up there today applying, the black. but it's 20 degrees here and it's not conducive to it sticking, right? So
Yeah.
um, it's it was an unbelievably simple process compared to what I thought it was. Right? It reminds me kind of uh, uh, powder coating,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to there's an application process and there's a baking process, but obviously the two are completely different. It was much easier than I thought it was going to be. You'll be able to see the active participation part of me bead blasting everything, prepping it, and then applying it probably after next week. But what a great option! I mean, what an unbelievable option, and it's amazing. You just look around, and there's a lot more things Cerakoted than you would have thought.
Yeah.
Right, just
So
normal stuff.
what did you decide to do on the Cobra? Were you going to do just a straight black, or is it kind of an offset black or a gray? Did you decide on a color for the accent pieces, like the
Well,
window trim and
yes, it was more of a for the accent for the trim pieces. It's more of a grayish
yeah,
flat black. Um, I think for the side pipes and the header tubes, we're gonna go just flat, just straight flat black on it. It's a
okay,
little darker, a little off, a little more black than the other. But there's really not that much of a difference.
right. It only needs a
And
subtle difference, or even if you
that's
do
the
the same color, but one's a gloss or one's a satin and one's a flat.
Mhm.
Like you just need subtle differences, a little, even a little texture difference to. So you're going to do the side pipes. They met you mentioned before about them doing an engine block. What did they say about heat? How does that work?
it's all doable,
It's
right? It's
doable.
all doable. The problem I'm finding is where do you stop, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Clint wants to do the entire engine compartment, right? But on a Cobra, it's not really that visible. Now, if you
right.
look at if you if you Google flat black side pipes on a Cobra kit car, the first thing that pops up is Magnanti talking about a car that I think was associated with a company that he was associated with. And he walks around and he does, the walk and talk with the car, and he opens up the hood and the pipes are flat black, but the header tubes are not. And if you ask me, it looks absolutely like shit. So it was good because it gave me a reference because first thing I did was run out and pull the header tubes off
Yeah,
and make sure I got them up there. So, but the problem is like I say, Clint wants to do the entire engine. If you look at that Nelson Racing engine, it's beautiful, right?
yeah,
But I ain't blowing this thing apart, just for a little viewing area to
right.
flat black everything. And it would be cool and it would be a testament to his product. But I think by keeping some of it original, uh, that it offsets everything better. Um,
Right.
I mean, you do the air cleaner, you do the valve covers, and then
Sure.
where do you stop? You
Well,
know,
there's some interesting pieces that I'd be curious to ask about. Like, for example, a lot of front engine accessory drive kits are now you can get them powder coated in black or an anodized or something. But
Mhm.
the issue sometimes comes with the AC compressor because the AC compressor, like when you powder coat and it's got rubber seals, and people are saying you shouldn't bake it like powder coat because it gets too hot. But I don't know what the temperatures are on baking Cerakote versus, a Zybar or a powder coat or anything else. But also your engine compartment gets pretty hot as it is. So it's not like, 100 degrees is going to melt, O-rings and stuff like that. It just doesn't, probably in your AC compressor. So I'm just curious if it's a different, and he
You're
probably
talking
didn't even
about
bring this up.
you're talking about the heat during the process of the Cerakote application.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I don't know because fortunately I don't need a freaking air conditioner in that Cobra, so I
Yeah.
don't I don't know. I would guess an alternator might because
Well, the
there's rubber
alternator,
grommets on that. I mean, you can pull them all. You can pull them off. I
yeah,
don't think.
the alternator, I'm pretty sure can be disassembled, so you can take the guts out and powder coat the shell and then put it
Yeah.
together. The AC compressor, I'm sure somebody's figured it out. Like I've done it where I've just like we've coated the front accessory drive and then you paint the AC compressor to
Hmm.
match. It's not 100%, but I'm sure it's gotten I, better over the years. I just wasn't sure what people are doing on the Cerakote side. So, but another question, if this came up, was the durability of Cerakote. You had mentioned guns being done, and there's a slide, and there's mechanical pieces that are moving, and maybe even rubbing. But like, yes, when you get into something like you were talking about the the fuel cap, right?
Hmm.
The which is and it's metal on metal, and it has a hook, and it locks down. Any thought on that? Do you leave that raw metal and then coat the rest, or what was this
Well,
thought on that?
I'm keeping it raw metal because it'll be like the only thing
Yeah,
that's original, and that'll be the only contrast to all the black. And I
right.
think
Okay.
that's an iconic part of the vehicle that doesn't need to be altered. Although you may see the Cobra come out, and because he wanted to do it, so
Yeah.
that tells me that it's viable as an option, as far as durability is concerned.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you know what? I'll specifically ask him about the compressor and about metal to metal. How durable is it comparatively?
Yeah. Now the side pipes, when you do a high temp coating on the side pipes, and I forgot the name of the company that's been doing that for a long time now. They even did an intake for me. I don't know why I forget for the life of it. I think they're out of Arizona. And the whole idea was you do this ceramic coating on a side pipe, for example, or a header, and of course it keeps the heat in there. So if you got out of the car, sure the pipes get hot, but it's supposed to dissipate that heat, like keep it in the pipe more. Also, good for the exhaust gases, but less outside temperature and more. Now, like, and again, I
I
forgot
don't
the
think
name of
this
it.
is going to make a damn bit of difference in
Yeah,
temperature lowering because it's such a thin application.
right.
There's no way, unless it's freaking Kevlar. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think there's any way it's going to help with the heat.
Yeah, that was my thought. But as long as the heat doesn't boil the coatings off,
Yeah,
you
not at
know,
all. Because you
yeah,
look at a suppressor. I mean, you're probably looking at 1800 degrees or something like that. You look at, I mean, headers probably the same. Um, they don't flake. They don't. I mean, I don't know about scratches, but I guarantee you they get freaking hotter than hell. So
yeah, it gets pretty hot.
I don't think it's humanly possible to have that type of a thin coat of anything that would help.
Yeah, and I think that's also the advantage is that thin coat, so you can get pieces, the tolerances much closer together. So you could probably
Absolutely.
Cerakote things that you wouldn't normally powder coat. I
Well,
would say
that's
for
what brought
sure.
this conversation up in the beginning,
Yeah,
right? I mean that's why I sought out another option.
right, right. Okay, so what's next? You were saying the YouTube channel. You would because you pretty much have wrapped the first season of the Paramount Plus show as we wait for that to get its final, air dates and stuff. So you can get back on the Goldberg's Garage. Now, before you were trying to get like a Friday, pretty consistent Friday thing going.
It's going to
Uh,
go back. It's going to go back to Friday. I'm probably going to do it at 6 o'clock Eastern time, so 5 o'clock local for me. This Friday, I'm going to go live, and I'm basically going to regurgitate what I'm about to tell you about the status of the channel. We all know that we like to take our phones with us everywhere, and we always get B-roll of what we're doing.
yeah,
Man, I got B-roll of every single freaking episode that we shot for Paramount Plus.
yeah,
Whether it's flying in the helicopter, down to Hennessy, driving the F5, or going to Dave Hall's place out in Lincoln and trading the the Trans Am. Uh, Dude, I dropped the YouTube channel off prior to even putting the lawman on it.
Yeah.
Prior to me receiving the sleigh that people have never seen, really.
Right.
You
Well, we
know,
saw
and
it on
there's
the
no
podcast.
explanation for it. Yeah, we talked about it, but I mean, I'm gonna Friday. I'm gonna do a walk around of it, and not many people know it's got an engine in it. I didn't know, to be honest, but
Yeah.
and there's just so much that's been going on uh, between these walls that I haven't been able to put out there. Um, Truth is, I need a freaking editor on the fly because the footage that I have from Warman and I alone off camera is
Yeah.
absolute freaking gold. So I'm very much looking forward to the next couple months to be able to get that content out there and show people what we've been doing. I mean, I got off the phone with Ram Marketing this morning talking about a project that we're hopefully going to get out in the MagnaFlow booth at SEMA this year. It's that Gladiator 2019
Yeah.
Gladiator concept truck that they had at SEMA, Ram did. That I bought an M715 for 2 years ago, sent it up to Salvaggio, and it's been freaking sitting there.
Yeah.
And we've been waiting for a drivetrain to put it on. And we've located one, and we're getting some wonderful assistance through the Ram brand. And we'll be able to slap that Kevlar body of the M715 right on a TRX chassis and hopefully have a elephant in it. And we're going to pop wheelies. And I can't wait. We've got so much going on, and it's so much fun stuff that I got to share it with people. And in this day and age of getting videos out and trying to be on top of it, I'm way behind. Absolutely way.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Bondurant. I went to Radford, and with the press group, I was one of the first guys to drive the new Daytona EV.
Yeah.
Now, I'll stop there, but as I went to the dealership this morning and Sarah up in San Antonio, there were 3 of them sitting on the lot.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is right now Ram's doing this unbelievable thing with their employees, and their employees are able to lease this thing for like $200 a month.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And so that's who's driving them right now. And that's an advertisement, right? You get them on the road, and people are going to see them. People are going to be interested in them. And, I think that's the play right now. But in the meantime, we've got a lot of cool shit going on.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to share it with people, but it has to be done properly. And, we just haven't had time.
You've kind of
We had 2 Brahma bulls being born in the last week during this cold here, man, and I just got the stem cell thing done, and I can't work out, and I can't lift anything. And so it's just, I think
we're gonna
it's
get
time.
into that next.
I'm way behind the 8 ball in getting my stuff out, and I keep professing to everybody that, hey, man, we're doing some cool shit. We're going to put it on YouTube, and then it doesn't show up. It's going to happen now.
It's going to happen. So you got to just take inventory of all the stuff that you shot, and then put some organization behind it, and get some editing help, and come up with a plan to release it, as we still await the sort of the final launch dates, air dates of the Paramount show.
Well, yeah, and what's I don't know if it's common knowledge, but I think they're acquiring a network. Paramount Plus is, right, and so it's one of the big ones. And so their affiliation already with somebody is, you can connect the dots.
Yeah,
and so they don't know what platform it's going to be on, and so though they rushed us exponentially to get this shit together and to get it edited and get it produced and edited and ready to put out there, we've kind of been in suspended animation for 2 months, waiting to hear when it's coming out, but it's all good stuff. So
it's good stuff.
I can't complain. And the feedback's been unbelievable from the people that ordered the show. So that's all I care about. It just would be nice to be able to get it out there sooner than later, because there's a lot of upcoming events that we could be shooting for season two.
Yeah. The stuff that I've seen sort of, privately is badass. Like we'll just you'll be out, I'll get a text and check this out. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun to watch. I'm glad you had a good time doing that show. I'm excited about that thing debuting, and I hope you get to do more seasons of it because I know the wheels are spinning now more than anything. Now you got that first season under your belt.
Well,
Going,
yeah,
this is how
and
we can do it, where we can go, what we can blow up, whatever the case may
well,
be.
yeah, and you remember, and the listeners probably remember. I mean, they rode along with me as I was going out on the road. And the fact is that originally we were told we can't travel, and originally we were told, hey, it's got to be done in X amount of time. Well, the time limit even shrank, and we did travel, and so it was like, man, Katie barred the door. We got to get this shit going because our asses are on fire and we've got to deliver it because it takes 9 weeks to edit one episode and all that kind of stuff. And so I basically went off my Rolodex for the first season.
Yeah.
Truly, whether it's Dennis Collins, whether it's Mark Warman, whether it's two of my neighbors, three of my neighbors, the San Antonio Spurs, everything was just, okay, what are we doing this week? Oh, we did Roadkill, right? So that'll be part of an episode. I mean, yeah. we all have an agenda that we already do in real life. And so I kind of took them along with me to these certain events to be able to plan it with some time and more of a budget. Man, it's going to be freaking unbelievable. The first one I can tell you off the top of my head is we've got an invitation from McLaren to go to the Nürburgring, and they're going to provide 2 vehicles. I say that's a pretty good jumping off point.
Yeah.
Right. And so to be able to have a little bit of time and to do it, realistically at not a neck breaking pace is going to be an honor and a privilege. And the end result will be 10 times better.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a quick break and then we're going to turn the page. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. You just got back from the stem cell therapy. We got into what we thought it was leading into it, and you're right. The changes you had to make: no drinking, no caffeine, to a point.
No
No more
nicotine.
dip, no more like just clean living, which already you felt different. It already felt amazing after, just weeks of clean. Walk us through the process of the stem cell therapy stuff, and then let's talk about how you feel. But how was it going into it?
I was terrified.
Yeah.
I'm a knuckle dragging big badass dude to the public, but I mean, I don't like needles, and I don't like hyperbaric chambers, and I don't like anything that relinquishes my control over it, right? And all I could say is the best thing I ever did was tell them that the last time someone stuck a needle in my knee, I took a swing at them because they knocked me out for every procedure.
I figured they would.
It was fantastic. Because I talked to Kevin Nash, and Kevin goes, man, they raw dogged me. They just stuck needles in me and didn't give me any anesthetic. And I don't know whether I don't know. All I can say is we flew there. It was a very simple flight. The entrance into the country was how you probably would expect going to Colombia would be. The driving was how you would expect it to be, very narrow roads.
Yeah.
A lot of American cars, but everything's small. They drive like a chicken with their heads cut off. But when we get to the hotel, and the hotel is hooked to a mall, which is on the other end, on the other side of it is a high rise that houses all the medical clinics.
Okay.
So for 5 days, other than walking outside of the hotel grounds to go to a restaurant a block away, we did not go outside.
Yeah. So you didn't have to leave the the whole facility if you didn't want to.
No, I mean everything was a consultation, everything was a procedure, and everything was a recuperative uh, aspect of your trip, right? So I go in. The first thing I got was an IV drip, which
Yeah.
quite obviously is not invasive. You just sit there, you get a freaking IV. They tell you about the processes coming up. They answer any questions that you have. And then 30 minutes later, you have 50 million stem cells that have been going through your body intravenously. I had that 3 different times throughout the process. And on Thursday, a week ago tomorrow, or a week ago today, when the show airs, um, is the day I got my injections. And leading up to it, they were all consultations. They were all prepping you for what you were about to embark upon, whether it was freezing your ass for 3 minutes in a cryo chamber or doing, the hyperbaric chamber, which I opted out of, quite obviously, because I'm claustrophobic. Um, all of it was in preparation mentally and physically to get you to the process of getting the injections.
Okay.
And then everything afterwards was recuperative or information pushing your way to answer any question
Yeah.
and to tell you how to properly react during the recuperation period. And truthfully, for me, throughout the entire process, stop dip in Copenhagen,
Yeah.
tough, really, really tough. It's been 40 years, right? Yeah, 40 years I've been doing it. Changing my food, really tough. I've been eating like a monster for 40, 50, 58 years. Um, the toughest part of the entire process is not lifting anything for 3 weeks
Okay.
after the process, right? And so anywhere you were injected in a joint, obviously you want the situation to be optimal for it to take hold, right? So you can't like they gave me 15 freaking shots of my spine, right?
Yeah.
15.
Wow.
Let's
Good
just
thing
say
you were
that if
knocked
I would
out
have
for that.
known it was 15 prior, I might not have gone. So it was extremely smart for them to not tell me until after it was done. But you have to think about what that does to your body,
Yeah.
right? So I can have no type of compression whatsoever. And if you want to know how serious I'm taking this, in 2 weeks, I'm supposed to go to Radford Racing with Kenny Wayne Shepherd,
Yeah.
Rob Hart, Dave Hall, all my buddies who bought the Demon 170s and take that Demon 170 class, per Dodge because they
Yeah.
flipped the bill on it. I'm not going. I had to cancel
Yeah.
because something told me that there was going to be some compression there when I'm pulling G's
Right.
and pulling the front wheels off the ground going down a quarter mile. So that shows you how serious I am about this because I'm foregoing an opportunity first and foremost to be with my buddies, but
Yeah.
secondly, a very close second to drive these badass vehicles and it not be mine, so I don't have to put any miles on it and learn how to drive it even better.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I first of all, I agree. When you're having a procedure like this, so many procedures, you know, can aren't nearly as effective or get screwed up because people don't follow the rules leading into it and post procedure. And if you're going to make this type of investment in your time and your body and money and everything else, then just take the time to do it the right way. By the way, they're not saying don't lift anything for 2 years. So like it's 3 weeks,
it's
maybe
three
four
weeks.
weeks. Like
Yeah,
you could suck it up. Like you could,
I
you,
can, but I also have a freaking match coming up, right? And I
yeah,
also have I also have an appearance at an event where there's the biggest, baddest some bitches on the planet called the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio,
yes,
in 2 weeks that I'm having to go to, right? Um, but I don't care. I really don't care. Prior, I would have cared, and it would have, done something to me mentally. But man, it's all good, dude. It's all good.
yeah.
Compared to what I'm going to benefit from this, that's a fart in the wind.
Right. So when you go out to dinner, don't pick up the the manager of the restaurant or anything.
Well, that's where I already farked up, right? So obviously in Colombia, it's cool to see celebrities from around the world, and so a lot of them go to BioXcellerator, and a lot of them ask for photos, and oh damn it, you know me, dude, obviously, and so one of them comes up, and I'm like, and I shook his hand, and I moved his hand, and I freaking picked him up and put him on my shoulders,
Yeah.
and I didn't think anything of it until the exit meeting with the surgeon. And the surgeon goes, and by the way, do not pick anyone up over your shoulder like you did yesterday. And I'm like, oh shit. But it's a natural reaction, man.
I
First
know.
off. And second off, I feel like $1 trillion, whether it's from the stuff that I altered my life prior or
Yeah.
the stem cell treatment, after 2 days or one day. I feel like $1 million comparatively. So it's really hard. You have to be logical, but it's really hard. It's like you're a freaking racehorse again, and you're being held in the stall, and
Right.
you can't come out for a period of time.
Right.
And like I say, I've got a match in sometime this summer. I don't know exactly when it is, but I know it's coming up, and I know at 58 years old, I got to be in my underwear in front of everybody, and I hold a very high standard of myself, and so I need to get to work yesterday. But
Yeah.
the long-term benefit and the benefit for me in the ring will be much more if I just calm my ass down and
Well, look, if you start on it now and you you sort of reverse the effectiveness of the stem cell stuff or hurt yourself, then lifting lighter weight for an extra 3 weeks is not going to benefit you. Then, you might as well wait the 3 weeks and hopefully it heals up. So when you go in, they start the IV process. They're putting these stem cells. This is sort of the full body stem cell stuff. But then from there, you you did the MRIs and stuff and found all of the damage there, the shoulder you were talking about. So you can go to them and go, listen, yes, overall, let's do the overall process,
well,
but
they had they
target some
had
things.
they had the MRIs. That's the a prerequisite. You cannot get on a plane until they've got every single thing that they're about to do in front of them, so that number one, first and foremost, they see the damage, but number two, more importantly, especially for me, they see exactly where they go in,
Yeah.
where they can go in and apply these stem cells. And they used it through an ultrasound machine, and they were able to, I guess, use the ultrasound on my body and then look at the screen, and that shows you exactly where your pinpoint is.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had to identify everything prior, to first and foremost see if you were if it was a possibility for you to get better through the process, and number two, exactly where to go in. Like my shoulder,
Yeah.
my
Like, how is
shoulders.
it to raise your arm now? Is it like you're what, like a week into it? Does it
I'm
actually
six
feel?
days into it, and it
Yeah.
feels freaking spectacular.
Yeah.
I've got movement in my arm. I've got more range of motion in my right arm, my bad arm, than I do in my good arm. I went to PT yesterday here, and he's like, which side is it? Because I can't figure it out. And you can look at it because the atrophy of my muscle not being there on my right side gives it away. But the range of motion, um, it's unbelievable. It truly is. And that's why it makes it even harder to not do anything,
Yeah.
because you
Right.
feel
Because now
so
you
good.
feel great. You want to be able to do it.
But yeah, the bale of hay that I threw yesterday was pretty freaking stupid. But I mean, I felt great, and I have to help around the house. I feel like an invalid, right? But you just have to be smart, and that's the biggest problem and the biggest issue with this is you feel like $1 million afterwards, and it's really difficult to be sedentary when you feel good after not feeling so good for
Yeah.
so long.
So, and then Wanda went with you. What was her take on the whole thing? Because she's seeing it there, but as an outsider. So, but
First and foremost, she wouldn't let anything be done to me if she didn't agree with it,
right.
whether prior or firsthand. Um, She loved it, man. She
She
just
was
loved it.
impressed with the process, the facility, the whole.
How could you not be? I mean, there were three guys that showed up there in wheelchairs, and one of them got out of his wheelchair while he was there. The other one actually felt pain in his low back for the first time while he was there because of sitting in the chair. And I'm like, well, that's a good thing because you actually feel the
You could
pain,
feel.
right? So, and there was a kid from Cirque du Soleil there that had broken his neck years and years ago, and
Oof.
he keeps getting treatment after treatment there. And uh, the lady, I was on Law and Order years ago.
Yeah.
My cousin actually is the producer of the show, Neil Bear, right? And that Mariska girl,
Yeah. Hargitay.
her mother was there, 82 years old. She got freaking 10 times as many shots. She got her hands done, her ankles done, her this done, her face done. Her 82 years old, just walking around like it was nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so they get people from all walks of life. They get people from all demographics, uh, from the United States, from here. I mean, I saw people there. The tight end for the Houston Texans was there, young kid, right? Um, it's just they help everybody. It was unbelievable. And next time I go, if I have to go again, Wanda's going to get a procedure. This time she was extremely selfless, and she just went as my helper, and
Right. And she knows
that's
you
why
were
she's my wife.
nervous going into it.
I was terrified. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I remember laying on the bed, laying on the table. I got the hat on and the freaking everything and no underwear under the thing, and I'm just feeling exposed, and I'm laying on there, and the anesthesiologist looks at me and lifts my head up. She goes, "You go to sleep now." And I said, "I better go to sleep because I'm going to kill every one of you if I feel anything." And I was out.
All
Like,
right.
and then I woke up and I'm like, okay, I'm in a chair. I guess everything's done. And I could, I was sore, but it's just absolutely amazing process. Um, Not only the preparation, the process itself, but the care that they take with you afterwards. The only problem I think with the entire process is a little bit of misinformation or cross information in that I'm a Cro-Magnon guy. I got to eat as much as humanly possible. And one person tells me that you can't eat eggs. Yet at my exit interview, they're like, "Oh, and you can have eggs." And I'm like, "What? What did you say?" Because I've been freaking
Yeah.
out for 3 days that you told me that I can't eat my
Yeah.
40
You're
eggs
eating a
every day.
dozen a day.
I'm eating 2 dozen a day. Especially now, I know exactly how much. It's like $26 a day because a dozen of eggs is,
Yeah.
it's crazy. But to it's hard to adjust your diet to a non-inflammation diet to
Yeah.
where you can't have gluten, you can't have meat for more than 3 times a week. I've cut out bread, I've cut out pasta. You know, if you can't have meat more than 3 times a week, where am I going to get my protein from? And if I can't have eggs, where am I going to get my protein from? So that was the only issue that I had, is that um, for one person it might be this way, for another person it might be this way, but at the end of the day, how much really does it take away from the overall benefit of it if I eat eggs and it's a little more inflammation type of diet than if I wouldn't, right? So
Right.
it's the positives outweigh the negative. I got
Yeah.
to get the protein, and if that's the only thing in my diet that causes inflammation, then so be it.
And but what about any of the supplements that you normally like, whey protein and creatine or anything like that? Do you take any of that still? Or
No, I don't. I take my creatine gummies, which are
yeah,
awesome, and I sent them to them beforehand, and they had no issue with it. But there are some things that you can't take. I don't take supplements. I mean, throughout the years, I did back in the day when I played in the
but
NFL. I
just
took.
protein? No, just like a whey protein or
I don't
anything?
even take. As of the last 15 years, I don't even drink shakes.
Yeah.
Now, I
Okay.
did drink. I did drink that Fairlife. You know the the little pre-done shakes. It's
Yeah.
the 24 milligrams of protein or 42 or 26 or 42. I'd
Yeah.
slam, 3 of those a day. It's milk. I can't drink milk, right? So now I drink almond milk.
Yeah.
And so now I do have protein shakes, but I don't use milk. I use fresh squeezed orange juice, half with water, right?
Okay.
And it's a vegan based protein powder. And I never thought in a trillion years I'd be even uttering that, let alone admitting that I take it. But man, it's healthy, dude. And it if the one thing that's the biggest benefit of this entire experience is that I've really learned how to eat.
Yeah.
And when you go to a country like that and you see like 3 or 4 people that are overweight over a 6 day period, and then you come back to the United States and there's 15 people that are 2 times as obese
Yeah.
as the people you saw there that are just standing in front of you in a line, it makes you want to vomit. It does. So
It kind of makes you sad for some people. Like,
it
what are
makes
you
me
doing
sad
to
for some
yourself?
people, but it makes you very disenchanted with the direction that our society is going when convenience is much more important than health.
Yeah.
And
The
I'm
the
not going to be that guy, right? Because I've always not wanted to be that guy, but I'm that guy now because I've experienced both sides. And I'm telling you, the way you eat is 1,000% how you feel. I mean,
yeah.
how you feel is 1,000% predicated to what you put in your body. It truly is.
It's funny if anybody follows like Mark Wahlberg on social media on his Instagram. eh, Listen, he's a consummate promoter of all of his brands and his products, but other than that, that's all he's talking about is just he's just like I'm just eating for life now. Like I'm eating healthy. He's like at my age, he's like I'm in the gym and I'm doing my workouts and I'm eating right and and my whatever the chef or whoever's making, I'm just eating the salmon. Like he's just
Yeah.
really focused on that. Like he's over the, I got to get big for this role or whatever. It's like I've done that now. He's like now it's just like it's just being healthy, being as healthy as
It's
possible.
it's it's to me, because I'm who I am, it really pisses me off. But like you said, it's really sad. It truly is
Yeah.
because we've been programmed as a society to care more about convenience than health. You know,
Um, the one thing I also want to ask is so they did the needles and anything. Is there any bruising or soreness where they did all the needles? Because oftentimes with me, like they'll draw blood and I'll get the bruise. Like sometimes they take it and whoever takes it is a little better than the other person, but you could tell right away. They'll put the needle in and they're like, sorry, that one's gonna bruise. I'm like, oh my gosh. I
well,
just can't imagine if you've got bruises up and down your arms and your spine and your shoulder,
nah,
or they were good.
nah. Well. Fortunately, I've got pretty good veins, right? But the only bruise that I have is right here because of the IV. Had an IV every day.
Yeah, yeah, on your
Right?
arm.
That's
Yeah.
that's literally if I look on my body, because the shoulder, there's no bruises there, the knee, there's no bruises there. And unless I was an exorcist, I can't see the
See
freaking
the yeah,
behind me. But I mean, they put as many, I mean, look at the vein, right? They
yeah.
put as many IVs in this side as this side, and this is the only bruise that I have,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know. It's amazing. I
That's
mean, the
good. So
process was freaking amazing. And you look at me now, I mean, I feel unbelievable. I haven't worked out in 3 weeks and I've got 2 more to go.
yeah,
And just I don't know if it's the food, I don't know if it's the lack of nicotine, I don't know what it is, but the entire process, I feel
it's
like
everything.
$1 million, man. I
Yeah,
really
it's
do.
all of it. It's the whole package. Honestly, leading up to it, all of the changes that you made, the diet, the food, the no more dipping, all that, like that alone is something that I think is going to make a huge difference and
Yeah.
something I would recommend to anybody. Before
I would recommend it to everybody. And like I
yeah,
said, man, I've never wanted to. I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm only gonna I'm only gonna teach based on experience and
Yeah.
My personal benefits, and I'm not pushing shit on anybody except for kids. I'm going to try to change the perspective on kids, how they look at diet and nutrition, because that's our future, no matter what.
Yeah.
And the first freaking subject was my son, right?
I was gonna
Uh,
say you got to
yeah,
talk to Gage about it. Go, Gage, listen, your whole, you know, high school and middle school career as you prep for sports, and I've seen that boy eat a tomahawk by himself, and like, it- you're right. There's a conversation there going right now. You're young and you're getting big and you're working on your career, but to avoid injury and length of career and healthy when you're 50, 60 years old, like what do you got to do now
well,
at
and to
18,
help
19?
right now with inflammation, right?
Yeah.
So he's busting ass every day. It's the biggest contact sport you can have, and so if he can adjust the level of inflammation he has in his body by taking one or two things out of his diet, that's going to be a huge thing. So,
Yeah.
and I hope you saw my post yesterday of him doing a freaking standing backflip at 233 pounds.
Oh, I didn't see that
Got to
yet.
check it out.
Yeah, I'll
You
check it
have
out.
to check it out. It flipped me out. But
Um, all right. So, as we wrap up, might as well give a little shout out to the place you went to. What was the name of that group?
see, by a guy named Clint Voigt at CGC,
Cerakote.
cars, yes, cars, guns, and Cerakote.
Okay. And then what's the stem cell therapy
Stem
place?
cell is BioXcellerator. The best way to look them up is to go on YouTube, because literally from Kevin Nash to Dallas Page to Dan Severn to Don Fry to freaking football players to, I mean, actor. I mean, everybody has gone there, and
Yeah. Yeah.
a veteran is the reason why I actually went.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Um,
were telling us about that before.
they do some unbelievable things, and I'll just touch on it before we go. There was a kid down there in a wheelchair. There was a car guy. He drives an R8 in the sevens in the quarter mile, and
That's so
he
badass.
uses freaking hand controls, and he races down at Bradenton, and that's where Mario from Gearhead Fabrications does all the work on all my cars. And so hopefully season 2 of Carlectables, we go down there and I'm going to get him to teach me how to drag race.
Yeah. All right, brother. I'm glad it was a good trip. I'm glad you're feeling good and back at home, back at it, back on the car projects. Yeah, listen, for me, super informative. And like you said, it's tough to say anything about it or give advice about it unless you do it and you're doing it. So, um, uh, yeah, listen, I'm gonna pick your brain about it again in a couple of weeks, just to
Please
see
do.
how is it now a few weeks into it? How is it getting back into the gym and throwing some weight around? I'm not exactly sure what they told you, but I imagine your excitement of getting back in the gym versus what you should do when you get back in the gym.
Yeah.
Hey, like I don't
Well,
think you should go in and start grabbing
no,
100-pound dumbbells on that shoulder.
here's the really good and bad part of that. I can't do that stuff anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a lot of violence driven, ego driven, just training.
yeah,
And I physically can't. I'm 58 years old. No matter what good condition I'm in, um, it's not feasible to be benching 575 for 3 reps. It's
right.
just I can't do it. I'm not squatting 700 pounds anymore. So I wouldn't do it anyway.
Yeah,
That's the good thing. The good thing is that the way I train now is more like rehab. And yes, I'll be able to build back up, but I surely won't be looking to do what I did in the past.
yeah,
And I won't need to. I
yeah.
won't
You
need
won't need
to.
to.
Because as I say, 50% of me is better than 99% of 99% of the people in the freaking world, right? And so as long as I inherently believe that, then it's true.
Yeah. All right, brother. Thanks so much. And yeah, good. That was good information. We'll be back next week. And until then, keep the air in the spare and the bag in the wheel.
Boom, boom.